Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ascend to Joy with Christine Elwert. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We've been talking about a revolution of love, and that's part of what I'm working towards as a guide and a healer and a teacher certified by the Modern Mystery School in the lineage of King Solomon, is to light up the world. And I wanted to talk to you today about some tools that we're going to need in the revolution of love. I talked to you previously about a vision that I've had, and it's not just one time. I've had this vision numerous times. And as I said before, it's a vision of light, points of light on the world that are in a particular sacred geometrical pattern that are holding the earth in a place of invitation. It's pretty interesting. And I believe that it's now. I believe we're heading there, like right now. Right now. And so I just wanted to talk to you about a tool that I think is really critical in this revolution of love right now. The tool is forgiveness. So interesting, because when I was looking at the word forgiveness, there was the typical things that we think of. I'll read you one definition. It said, forgiveness is the choice that a person makes to forgive one another for an offense or something that is illegal or immoral. Forgiveness is intentional and voluntary. When someone forgives someone else, they let go of negative emotions. For example, vengefulness. But then I ran into some other. I have been interested in the etymology of words. Where they come from. What's their root? What does it mean? To kind of understand language a little bit more. And the root of the word forgive is the Latin perdonare. Did any of you study Latin in high school? Because I had 2 years of it. Perdonare means to give completely. And to me, that's so incredibly interesting, because to give completely is not necessarily what we think of when we think of forgiveness. In fact, it means to give completely without reservation. And then I started thinking about it. Is that what to forgive is? Or is that the result? And I tend to think we might be looking at the result of forgiveness, is the ability to give completely without reservation. When we have resentment and unforgiveness in our hearts, then there is a blockade in certain areas that does not allow us to give completely without reservation, because that resentment or that remembrance of the harm that was done gets rooted in our reptilian brain, our survival brain, that says, whoa, watch out for that, because that's something that could harm you again. And so it does serve kind of a primal purpose of survival, but only if you think that survival of this rental vehicle is the goal. And in a different video, I talked about our foundation. And if our goal is ascension and not survival of the rental vehicle, then we're looking at something completely differently. There are a couple of things that come to mind, honestly. I've dealt with a lot of situations that were not only harmful, but at times life-threatening, that could have stopped me in my progression as a human being. And I had to learn this process of forgiveness. And then I've looked at what's happening in the world today and some of the strong images that are coming to us through the media that illuminate the difficult and energetically dark portions of our existence here as human beings. I think particularly of the murder of George Floyd and the trial and verdict that Derek Chauvin was found guilty of his murder. It became an illumination, a symbol of the difficulties that have happened in many places between some of our people in the policing portion of our society and with people of color. And for sure, it needed to be illuminated. I mean, oh my goodness, we need to be aware. We absolutely need to be aware. But I saw the reaction to the verdict, and it was interesting to me because it almost intensified. It appeared in some people to intensify the resentment, the hatred, the vengeance between these two groups in our culture, the policing portion and and our beautiful brothers and sisters of color. And so, and then in addition to that, I was watching a documentary in which present leaders of indigenous people were interviewed, and how they talked about the eradication of their cultures. I was particularly struck by a woman who was the head of her tribe, female head of her tribe, who talked about how the white man came to the United States. Wasn't the United States at that time, this portion of North America, and claimed this area as their own, and then systematically did so many horrible things to not only get rid of the indigenous people of this land, but to eradicate their culture, to vilify their way of doing things. And I'm thinking of all this, multi-generational and whether we're talking about the strife and the tension and the horrible things that have happened between one group and another, whether it be our policing population and our people of color, or whether it be the Caucasian white Europeans who came in and overran and eradicated the indigenous people of this nation. I thought, oh my goodness, so there are so many barriers that have been created in our history, in our personal history, in our familial history, in our cultural history, in our national history, in our history as a world, that have served as a protection. It happens in the reptilian brain. It's called survival. And when you're being eliminated, survival is front and center. But here we are with this history of walls, this history of harm, this history of atrocities. And we have our own personal horrific things, or not everybody has, but I've certainly had some pretty challenging things happen in my life. And I think it's important to start looking at what's going to prevent us from being full vehicles in a revolution of love. And it's going to be systematically taking those walls to our heart and dissolving those walls, dissolving those barriers to loving other people. We can forgive. We don't have to forget. We can learn. We can learn from past experiences. But forgiveness is vital. So please stay tuned and share this channel with other people. Or if you have a comment, please place it below. Okay? All right. I love you.